Everyone, this is Regnil and I want to tell you a story. This morning, as we were singing, I remember a story of a boy and his mother. I remember there was one time that the mother always commanded or asked his boy to do something for him, like wash the dishes, wash the clothes or the laundry, and sweep the floor and things like that. And the boy was in his heart, he was tired of it, and he wants to someday, he thinks of an idea that maybe someday I can get money out of this, like maybe I would show this to my mother. I would make a list of every order he make, every command he make, and he made it, he put it in his notebook. And every time his mother would um, order him to do something, he would write it and have an equivalent of money, example 5 peso, and like laundry 5 peso, and he asked me today, buying something in the store, and equivalent equals 5 peso. And he, until the time came that the boy has made a very long list. And one day his mother saw the list that he hid on their cabinet. As the mother was seeing it, she was laughing, and she she get her pen, and then she writes something in the bottom of the list. And the boy, after school, he got home, and then his mother ordered him again, commanded him again, and then when he wanted to write it down in his notebook, he found something written under it, and he was so shocked because the mother wrote in that notebook the things that he bought when the boy was still a baby. And of course, a baby needs a diaper, so he write there, when you are a boy, I bought you almost 5,000 worth of diapers. And then also milk, said that when you were still a baby, I bought you almost 50,000 pesos worth of milk. And it's just, and there's also a fee in holding you, and fees in just giving birth to you. She wants to emphasize to the boy that a large amount of money you need to pay for me before I would pay for your orders. And I was listening to that. Actually, there was a sermon of an elder in the church when I was a boy, and after hearing that story, I was laughing and thinking, can that really happen? And true enough, when we think about people and how ungrateful they would think that it's absurd, it's not good, it's not gonna happen. But in the Bible, in Romans 1:18 to 21, he said, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world. In the things that have been made, it's the creation. So they are without excuse. For they knew God, although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they become futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened." And like the story of the boy, they knew God, but they didn't give thanks to him or honor him as God. And I want to share to you about giving thanks today. Have you gave thanks to God? What are the things that worth giving thanks to God? I believe there are lots of things that you can give thanks to God. Even these fingers cannot count how many things that we all need and have to give thanks to God. I remember there's people who share, like, if there are people in the hospital that oxygen are so expensive, and here we are healthy, we should give thanks to God of our health, because in the oxygen is so expensive. And it's true enough. It's really, if you're gonna count the oxygen we intake every day, it's a big blessing from God. And there's also many things like the strength we have every day, even the life we have is things that even money cannot be bought. um, our health cannot be um, bought by any amount. And I believe there are lots of things that we should give thanks to God for. And there's something in giving thanks that just opens up our hearts to the reality of God. And that's why the psalmist says in Psalms 104 that enter his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise, and give thanks to him and bless his name. Why? Because for the Lord is good, his love endures forever. And it says there that his steadfast love and his faithfulness to all generations. There's just something in thanksgiving that gives us an access to the throne of God. And also, it gives us a reality of the intimacy of God. First Thessalonians 5:18, it says there that give thanks to God in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. So if you don't know any will of the Lord for your life, remember this, First Thessalonians 5:18, that it is the will of God that you should give thanks to Him in all circumstances. Because in all circumstances, there's always a blessing, and there's always a hand of God working. Maybe in our lives there are moments, or there are times in our lives in which we think God is absent. We think God is not there when we are suffering. But actually, or even the fact that you're still alive and hearing this exhortation is already a blessing from God. It means He's brought you out from that place to this place. And maybe our plans are different from the plan of God. And maybe the circumstances that we have is because of our own doing. Still the grace of God, still the love of God still gives us the strength to move on. And I think that is amazing. God may not take you out of the bad situation, but He may give you the strength that you may be able to pass through that situation. Even in the Psalms 23, it says there that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, he did not, David did not say that even though I walk through in the light and in the valley of life, I will fear no evil. But he said that even though in the valley, the shadow of death, it means the valley of death is reality, the suffering is reality, the hardships are reality. But the strength that God will give us, the assurance that He will be there and He will help us, is still as alive as it is from the time of David until now. And Jesus is one of the greatest example of thanksgiving heart. When He left up this bread of 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and His plan was to feed 5,000 people in a crowd, He gave thanks to God. Even how little it may be, He gives thanks to God. Therefore, God blessed that offering, and it made it big and fed all those who are in the crowd. And that's amazing. That's amazing, because if we give thanks to God, there will be a multiply. There will be a blessing that is ahead of that. And also, one of the greatest blessing that we can gain when we give thanks to God is our intimacy with Him. Our close, the gap, the relationship we have with God will become closer when we give thanks to Him in all circumstances, because it makes our faith stronger. And that's how it is when you give thanks to God. That's why give thanks to God in all circumstances, for this is the will of God for you in Christ Jesus.